You're listening to a Skewed Orbit original podcast.
Time, weather, and highways pass.
Oh, there she is. She's back on the mic. You heard that sigh. That means she's been busy. She's been busy, and we're back. Friends, welcome back to season 4 of the Rachel LaForce Show. That's right. This is me, Rachel LaForce, and this is my show. If this is your first time listening, well, heck, welcome to it. I am a longtime comedian, and after a breakup and an unrelated kitchen fire, I accidentally got sober in 2018, which was quickly followed by a surprise spiritual awakening in a bunk bed in Aspen. And thus, it's been a bumpy road with lots of lows and lots of highs ever since. And that's what we talk about on this podcast. Now, some may say this is a healer's podcast. Some may say this is a comedy podcast. Some may say this is a wellness podcast. I say choose your own adventure, okay? So many experts out here, so many people, they're healing, they're wheeling, they're dealing. And frankly, I'm going to say if everybody was doing their job, I think we'd be a little bit further along. So I'm not going to say that I am an expert in anything. I'm not even going to say that I'm going to offer you wise words of wisdom. I'm simply going to give you each week things from me and great interviews with other heart-led leaders, comedians, creators, people in the space doing the work. And we're going to talk about the divide between self and society and what does that mean and what could we do to potentially bridge that gap. So really, this podcast is a thought experiment. Welcome to it. Season 3 was wild because I feel like in season 3, I really kind of found what I was trying to do, right? One of my biggest lessons that I always tell people is and like, this is not just me, by the way, you know what I mean? This is just like all of like inspirational TikTok of like, just start before you're ready. Just start. People come to me all the time, wasting their own breath and frankly, their own money to pay me to just tell me how, well, you know, it's got to be this thing. And oh, sorry, I'm fidgeting. I've got like this. Hold on. If you're listening, there we go. Okay. It's bothering me. Everybody's like, oh, well, I got to figure out all these other things, or, oh, once this thing is ready. And like, that's just never going to happen. You're never going to be ready to find the love of your life. You're never going to be ready to get that dream job. You're never going to be ready to start the thing. You're never going to be ready to have kids, like whatever it is. Sure, we think we're ready. And let me tell you, by all of the biggest things so far that I've been able to materialize for myself, I was not ready for any of them. In fact, I may have even thought I was ready. And then like mere years after the fact, I'm like, that was so cute that you thought you knew what you were doing, which is exactly why I just shared with you where I was like, you can decide what this podcast is. And that's not me taking myself off the hook of like, well, cheeky, cute. No, I know what the intention of it is, but I've also been doing this long enough to know, like, listen, this is my experience in the world, and it's a lot that I want to share with you, and it's a lot of things that I think work. They've worked for me, but I'm not interested in hard truths. I'm just not, because it's a hard truth for who, right? And the very real reality, and I say this till I'm blue in the face, that it's the most universal lessons are hidden in the specificities of our lives, right? So the best I can do is give you my take, what's happened in my life, and then trust that it's going to find you exactly what it's supposed to. And that's literally all this podcast is about, right? So in season 3, it was all about figuring out, like, what is this podcast? What do I want to say? And so much of my work has been about harmonizing, you know, a spiritual walk in life with a comedic lens on life. And how do I meld the two. And I think I've just come to the fact of like, I mean, I guess you can. I think that I think it's as simple as like, it's just going to be me showing up and giving you me. That's it. Like I've overcomplicated it. And the reason I share all this is not to just be like, oh, listen to everything about my life, but it's more of like, that's really what has come up for me, right? We left kind of with the cliffhanger. If you didn't listen to the last episode of season 3, go back and listen to that and then listen to this. And know that I did not go back and listen to that episode. So I'm just giving you, this is just raw, baby. And we'll see how well they connect. But I believe if I remember, I just kind of left you with like I don't know, guess we'll figure it out from here. And winter has been rough and tumble. And I remember in like November and like all of the, as I define them, spiritual downloads and things that were coming up for me were just like, shh, like, don't do anything. Just get quiet. Don't do anything. You know, I had an entirely different plan of everything I was going to attack this year and I was going to go after it. And the more quiet that I got, the more I just heard of like, dog, everything in your life already takes so much time. Like properly taking care of yourself, even having like a morning routine and whatever, in any way that you define that, like takes time. So the amount of things that you think that you can get done, which a lot of that sure is hustle culture. A lot of that is like, be a good mom, but also work hard and go after your dreams, but be a good mom, look like a good mom, show up like a good mom, right? And that'll just make your eyes bleed. And then it's also just ADD, where in my mind, sure, I could get 67 things done in a day. Like, doesn't everybody do that? It's like, no, dude, that's not, right? So it was really looking back at, how are we actually going to be able to execute these things and move with them? And then the more I slowed down, the more I realized how tired I was. And I'm coming to you live right now, a shell of a human, friends. I am still so tired. And I think most recently what I'm just learning is like, especially when you're wanting to do big things and however you define that, right? Like big things doesn't have to mean that like you want, you know, and let me break it down even further. I hesitate sometimes to speak that way because I don't want this to be an offering that's only for like podcasters or creatives or like, sure, I understand it can't be for everybody, but like if your biggest goal right now is learning how to slow down so that you can just live slow, that's a big goal. Like that is enough, right? Like, so I just don't want the language to get lost in translation, right? That's really, really important to me because everything that each of us are wanting to do is valuable, right? Like if what you're doing is truly in your heart of what you're feeling led to do, then it's purposeful. Right. And I don't need to like go back and forth. That's the thing that drives me nuts about sharing things like this on social media, because then you always get, you know, it's literally the grown-up version of the person that was in your classroom that's like, the teacher would, you know, accidentally say a word wrong and they'd be like, that's not how you say complicated. You said it, you know, womplicated or whatever. It's like, just sit down, please. Nobody needs your hot take. Okay. We're in the 3rd grade and we just want to go off for recess. And it's like, just that person grown up that's like in the comment section being like, but you didn't mention this thing, so everything you're saying is wrong, you know? It's like, just let everybody be on a journey. But I'm going to trust that if you're listening to this, you're intelligent enough to see between the lines and the understanding that you know what is in your highest and you know what isn't. And you know the things that you want to stop doing, even if you're not ready to stop doing them or to start doing them, right? You guys know that I've been on this journey since August of wanting to create enough structure in my life so that I don't feel burnt out all of the time. Like, what do I need to do so that I can have enough time for myself to give to my family, to give to my husband, to give to my work, to try and keep pushing the boulder up the hill? And that's so much of what this break between season 3 and season 4 for me was like. I think honestly what came up, the most honest thing I can tell you is like, you just have to keep going. Like, what? fuck off, dude. Like, seriously, like, I feel like I just need you to hear that, because there's so much where, like, we're wanting this, wise word, or we're wanting like this thing, I talk about this all the time, where we feel like we're in spiritual deserts where, we get high on this spiritual supply. And however you connect it, higher power or Jesus or your ancestors, right? We all connect this kind of consciousness, this higher than us consciousness, in different ways, right? And when we feel that we get stuck in the earthly politics, the day to day, the mundane, it's very easy for us to dip into low vibration. And our hardest job, and I say job purposely, is for us to accept that is a lot of the human experience. No matter how, like, #best life you're living, right? Like, taxes got to be paid, like, they eventually come for you. You know what I mean? What's up, Wesley Snipes? Like, they're always like, there are things that have to get done, regardless of however high vibey, like, whatever life you're choosing to live, right? Like, even in the reality of, like, I love what I get to do. I love that I get to make my own schedule. And also that I am the boss, which means if I don't do it, it doesn't get done, right? Like, so there are all of these things that really is the cosmic chaos of the universe, which is like, to live is both to be in bliss and also to choose our suffering. Like, how can you continue to get out of your own way by having radical acceptance? And that radical acceptance is that most of life is in the middle. And that when you can begin to create magic from that space, I don't even have words for you yet, because I haven't mastered that part. I haven't figured it out. But that's really the journey I feel like I'm on. Like, last night I was having a conversation with my husband because I felt so exhausted, and I chose to get quiet over winter, and I was like, okay, I talked to my co-producer Caroline of this podcast, and and she is my right hand, and I always say I'm her boss, but technically she's my boss, because she makes sure that I get done what I say I'm going to get done. And I was like, hey, here's everything we thought we were going to do this year, and we're going to cut it in half. And here's what we're really going to do. Also, mind you, that half is still a full-time job. Okay. What's up? And so I chose to get quiet, and I took that break, and I did that. And I sat through the muck and the mire that has been January, and now into, when I'm recording this, it's February 15th, the week before you'll hear it. Right. And I've lost 2 grandparents. I lost 2 grandparents within 3 weeks of each other. And not only is that the heavy grief of losing people, and then it's also this like radical acceptance and this weird integration of the trust that the spirit world, and what does that mean, and connecting with them in a new way. And then having this growing appreciation for, being in this space where my kids are so beautiful and they're so young, but it's also right. Like, basically everything I'm saying is like, our life is happening. It's happening. And how can we get out of our own way to let it happen, to have that radical acceptance? That even for myself, I'm teaching all of this. This is what I want to be seen doing. It's like, I want to be a celebrity in this space. I want to celebrate doing this work. And also, that means I have a radically sensitive nervous system. That means I'm prone to panic attacks. That means I am, because I'm able to teach this stuff, it's because it's what I'm struggling with and what I'm working through. And that in order to be great at it, that's the card I'm dealt. So this idea, and I'm sharing from the first person, but I'm really going to trust that it resonates for you, which is like, what is it that you've been working through? And what is it that you keep thinking that you're going to get to this top of the mountain and then it's all going to be okay? Like, it makes me emotional. It can make me cry because the reality is, like, that's not real. Like, that doesn't exist. And that shouldn't be a letdown. It shouldn't be like a low thing. And I think that's the reason that it makes me emotional, because it's the most real thing that I can offer you. Of like, we have to let go of that notion, because that's what's getting in our way. And that's what's keeping us stuck. And that's what's keeping us from going after what we really want, or enjoying the fruits of our labor. Because we have decided that unless it feels the way that it has been portrayed to us that it feels, then it's not real or it's not happening. And that's just simply not true. I think I started to say this a while ago, and I talk stream of consciousness, but I was sitting with my husband last night, and I said, as my husband, and he's typically the one to call me out on most of the ways in which I'm getting in my own way. And I said, I'm asking with as much love and open ears as I can, if there is something that I could be doing differently to take better care of myself. I'm open to hearing it, because maybe I'm just not seeing it. And he looked at me and he's like, no. Not meaning I don't share that of like, because I'm doing everything right. That wasn't the point. But he was like, you move your body as often as you can, right? You eat as well as you can at this point, right? Like, in order for us to balance, what are the priorities? And that's another thing of like, what is it that you're wanting to do? Like, not everything can be a priority. You can have everything, but you can't have it all at once. You can do everything you want to do, but you can't do it all at once. And that was ultimately what I feel like, he said, where it's like, I've been working since August, y'all, since August, to be able to go to sleep early enough to actually get good sleep. So what am I doing during the day that is exhausting my body enough, clearing my mind enough to let my body rest, right? So to do that, to be able to get up at 5:45, 6 o'clock, come down here to my office, meditate, move my body, shower, get ready, like whatever I need to do to set myself up for success for the day, I have to do that before I even start doing that for my children. Because otherwise I'm trying to do that for them while I'm doing it for me, and then I get resentful because I haven't been able to do anything for me. So, that's where I was looking at him like, please let me know if there's something else I was supposed to do. And the more we talked, the more I realized, again, that thing that I kept hearing the whole time through this winter. And it's the thing that I didn't want to hear. And it's keep going. Like, all of a sudden I realized, I was like, oh, I feel like it was like we boarded a big boat and it's like, we're going to America. We're going to America. Here we go. Right. And we're thinking, it's like, oh, it's going to be so great. And then you're waving back to your homeland. It's like, we're going to America. Right. And then it's a little bit in, and there's no land this way and there's no land that way. And you're just in the middle of the ocean and you can't go back. There's no going back. You're in it now. You just got to keep going. And that's where I feel like I am. And I feel like so many of us on this journey are probably in that same space. This is not the time to question what it is that the overarching goal is, where you're wanting to go, the destination, quote unquote. It's not the time. Because we're already on our way. We're going. That's the decision that we've made, right? And also accepting that this is not the fun part. This is not the fun. I know you're thinking, Rachel, this was the first episode back. I was really hoping for something like fun and quirky. But you know what I mean? I don't make the rules. Okay. So pony up here. But that's it. It's not time to rework the plan. Sure, there's modification, there's improvising, there's we need to let this go to move this in, of course. There's always room for the edit. But you know where you're going now. I know that you know that. I know that you know that. And so it's not the time. I've talked about this in the February newsletter. I'm going to be talking about it again in the March newsletter, that so many of us have been pushing a boulder up the hill and we're tired. And I hate to tell you, but we just can't see to the other side yet. And so there's also something really beautiful about that. It means you're in it. It means that you have chosen finally for once to do the work. There's no more vision boards. There's no more, oh, it'll work and it'll look like this, or oh, I'm hosting a new moon ceremony where I'm going to talk about the same thing 75 million times that I'm going to do, and then you never effing do it. Guess what? If it's hard, if you're tired, it means you're doing the work. And that's fucking celebratory. And so if you feel like me where you're tired, it's a little frustrating, it's hard to keep going because it does feel that way of like, does anybody care? Is anybody paying attention? You know what I mean? Like, we need to solve world hunger. And maybe you're even out there and you're somebody who is on a board trying to serve world, or, eradicate it. And even you were going, yeah, I don't get it. No end in sight. I don't know how to do this. Okay. Billions of dollars in the world. And we can't figure out why people are like starving in Detroit. Like, hello. Right. So I get it. There's so much of us. And again, I go back to that of like, isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that so much of this does feel monotonous and does feel like one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other. And maybe it's all like that, right? Like, I have to be mindful of that for myself. And so I share this for you of, although right now I may feel like I'm in the middle of the ocean and it's like, what if it doesn't ever work out? And what if it's just this forever? Okay, what if? Let's play that game. What if it is this? Then do you want it to be fun, or do you want to bitch about it the whole time? Because this is when you keep going, and this is when you hold the faith. Faith is not cute because it's like it all worked out. Anybody can have faith when it all works out, right? Anybody can have faith when they first start. Oh, this is going to be so fun. It's when you're in it. It's when you feel like you are lost in the desert of it, and you know that the only option is to keep going. That's what faith is. That's what belief is. That is what doing the work is. So if you, like me, are in the thick of it and feeling that you're in the middle of the ocean and you can't turn back and you have to hold that faith and you have to keep going, and you're frustrated and trying to connect to your ancestors or Christ, your higher power, again, however you define it, your intuition, and you're hearing crickets and you are frustrated and and it's like, but this is the work. This is it. Welcome to it. I feel the same way. We've been doing, again, this is welcome to season 4, And I'm like, yeah, but I've been doing it for 4 seasons. They're like, oh, have you? Oh, 4 seasons. Oh, right? Keep going. Keep going. Find out how good it can get. And accept the days that are hard. And look around at all of the things that have materialized and all of the blessings within your life. Be grateful for days that are mundane. Right? No news is good news. Be grateful for that. Because the more that you can anchor yourself in what your life actually is, when you get to those peaks, when you get to those acceptance speeches, when you get that promotion, all of those things, you'll be able to integrate them and be there for them. And know that they don't create your happiness. They don't create. So when you get there, you don't feel left down and looking around being like, well, this doesn't feel the way I wanted it to. And then that's when we fall into that trap of like, it's never good enough. We always need more. It's not enough because we keep thinking that the thing that's going to make us feel good is ahead of us. And that's not true. So what we're going to be doing this season is we're going to be talking about staying in it and being in it and talking about how incredibly funny it is to be in process. The new tagline for this podcast is healing is hilarious, because it is. And that's so much of what this is, because healing is a process. To heal, both individually as a collective, to continue to awaken. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. This is so funny that we're doing this, you guys. It's really quite funny. You know, it's hilarious to me that we all read books to our children about, your emotions, and we talk about it on, Sesame Street and all these things. And then, we all have these elected officials who are just like screaming at each other over our rights. You know what I mean? And then they're like, well, we're going on vacation now because it was too hard for a few days. Like, that's hilarious. I mean, detrimental, and we could talk about it, but hilarious. And so I just really, really want us to find a place of being in the work and learning that it is a process. And if we are lucky enough, it's a life's work. And, for those of us with ADHD, this was another thing I was thinking last night. I was like, oh, wow. This is also the first time, maybe outside of like finishing a television pilot, that I have chosen a plan and stuck to the plan for an extended period of time. And that was a conscious goal, because I know to get to where I want to be, that's how I have to do it. But oh my gosh, no fun. So much not fun. I talked about that at the beginning of the episode. How fun is it when it's like, ooh, starting a new project, or ooh, look at this vision board, or ooh, look at all these things I'm going to do. So that's what we're going to be walking through this season. We're going to be talking a lot about that. We're really, really going to get into it. We're going to get really into the nitty gritty of this stuff. I'm going to be sharing more and more about what these experiences have been like for me. We're going to talk with more comedians. We're going to talk with more creators. We're going to talk with more entrepreneurs, and really focusing on what is the process like? What is being in it feel like? Because again, the most universal lessons are hidden in the specificities of our lives. So the more people that I can bring to you that are in it and doing the work, some of who you, depending on where you are in your journey, you may look at them and go, oh my gosh, them too? Yes, them too. So that you can begin to see in real time that whatever it is that you think you're going to get, and then you're going to go, now I feel relaxed. Now I feel good. That's not how it works. That mile marker just keeps moving forward. So I don't know if that sounds fun, but I'm going to have fun doing it. And that's what we're doing. So guys, welcome back to season 4 of the Rachel LaFour Show. I am so excited, and I am looking forward to continue doing the work alongside you. This is going to be a really fun season. We've got new art that you guys voted on. So I posted, this, you chose it. So if you don't like it, blame yourself. Okay. You voted, unless you're going, I didn't vote for that one. I voted for number 2. Well, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Yeah. New art, new tagline, and same vibe. We're just going in harder. So that's what we're doing. A lot of solo episodes this season. We're also going to have a lot of great interviews. So really mix it up for you guys. Also, I want to update you. If you are in the Atlanta area, I am taping, or maybe if you're not, fly on in, baby. You know what I mean? I am taping a half-hour comedy special March 23rd. That's a Saturday, March 23rd at Alley Stage in the Marietta Square. So I'm so excited for you guys to eventually see that. But please come out to that. If you've got friends in Atlanta, let them know. There's still some tickets available. We'll probably open up a second show if we sell that first one out. So please come and check that out. I'll put the links there. I mean, anywhere that you follow me, you can find those links. So please come out to that show. Also, the Misfit Light is underway. That's a lot of where I am taking even a lot of the things I share on this podcast and really breaking them down into about a 15-minute lesson. So every week there is a free workbook. This workbook is completely free to you. You can download it from my link in bio. It can also be sent directly to your inbox. And so you can grab this workbook and run through this stuff every week. Last week, we were talking, or the past couple of weeks, we talked about mirrors, the people that mirror for us in our lives, what we want, what we don't want, being able to look at that and make adjustments. We talked a lot about what I spoke about today of feeling quote unquote stuck and what are action goals. So here is really more where I kind of pontificate and share. And this is a really great place that it's like truncated 15 minutes. You've got a workbook. You can ask questions. This is all live on Instagram, 8:15 a.m. That's Eastern Standard Time. every Monday morning. Now that replay is available on my YouTube. So you can go to Rachel LaForce on youtube.com, hit subscribe, and you can see all of the videos there. And then also the long form will be on Instagram. I can also start to move those to TikTok as well. So I'm literally catering to like you. Okay. So like you pick. Formal people pleaser, but she still wants to make sure that you see the goods. So yeah, please check that out. Again, even if you can't join live, that is the Misfit Light. Also, my books are open. We have changed up a little bit of my offerings and what I am doing. So I have kind of melded what my spiritual mentorship was with my energy readings. I was just finding this just feels good. Like it just feels good. So this is a 90-minute reading, and this is the Misfit Light. So this is helping you release and reclaim the most unique parts of you so that you can step out and get to where you want to be. And so this is really great for people that are in any walk of your journey. So if you just went through a breakup, you're wanting to kind of like, work through that, or you're like, hey, I've got a spiritual practice and I'm like, that's what I also love about this is it meets you where you're at. And because of the full 90 minutes, we're able to create action steps for you to be able to leave and integrate them. So you're also leaving with something, which is a lot of what my spiritual mentorship was. But I was just finding there wasn't enough time in those sessions for people to really get what they needed. And even in the energy sessions for 60 minutes, I'm just finding 90 minutes is enough for us to hear each other, make a plan. Sometimes your guides will come in. We'll talk about that. I'll get intuitive downloads. I'll be sharing. Maybe we'll pull cards. Maybe we'll do a little bit of light Reiki and scan your body, get rid of some blocks. So there's just so many of the modalities and things that I do to take care of myself that I've integrated into my spiritual practice, both for myself and clients, that are all available to you in one session. So that is the Misfit Light energy reading, and that is 90 minutes. And then all of my creative consults are open as well. So whether you want to do a creative audit, you have started a podcast, you're wanting a little bit of feedback, either how to better promote it, what to do, how to fine tune, all of that stuff, you can bring that to me. We'll go through all of it. I can give you feedback. And then again, we can make some action steps. That's one aspect of the creative consults that I do. Or perhaps you're in a space where you're knowing that you're wanting to do something. You don't really know. It's more of a brainstorming session. You're going to bring to me what it is that you want, what you're attracted to, where you're wanting to go. And again, through intuitive hits and, almost 15 plus years doing this professionally in the entertainment business and entrepreneurship in general, I'll be able to really give you some feedback and really kind of set you on a path where, again, you're leaving not only with clarity, but steps that you can do that day to be able to get to where you want to be. So all of that is available to you. And I really hope that you'll take advantage of it. And I'm excited to connect with you. And I think this is going to be a really fruitful year. I think a lot of it, for a lot of us, it's still going to be the uphill climb. And I'm really just wanting to help give each of us things that we can do to keep us lit up while we're feeling in the middle of the climb, right? Isn't that cue, Miley Cyrus? It's the climb, baby. It's the climb. All right. Friends, that's it. We did it. I am so glad you're here. If you like this podcast, please go to tell people. Can you tell people? I could tell people that it's great until I'm blue in the face, but that doesn't mean anything if you don't know me. So when you tell a friend, it's literally the best thing for me. So please send this to a friend. Please leave me a review, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those places. Also, if you subscribe to the, I was going to say newsletter, but that's a different thing. If you subscribe to the podcast, and it'll automatically let you know when there's a new episode. So it'll keep you up to date and all of that good stuff. I also do have a monthly newsletter that you can subscribe to as well. So all of those links for everything that I've talked about, from the podcast recording to the Misfit Light readings, to the Misfit Light on Monday mornings, to my creative consults and the video newsletter. All of those links will be right here in the show notes. Since we are back and getting started, I wanted to remind you of all of the wonderful things that I'm creating for you and that you can take advantage of. All right. That's it. That's all she's got. All right. I love you guys so much. We're in it. We're doing it. We're partners in arms. Drink water, get rest, and just keep fighting the good fight. All right, baby. I see you. I love you. Get out there. Love you, mean it.